Oh, well, that stunk. Mm. Um, Knicks lose 95-93 in Cleveland. Man, that was a frustrating way to lose. Frustrating way to lose a very frustrating game that is going to have no shortage of things that people will be annoyed about, confused about, angry about, um, all of the above. Uh, I know that most of tonight is going to be about the negative. So I am going to make the affirmative decision to start off with some positives, um, to my own peril, perhaps. Not about for this season, because I think this is probably going to be the beginning of the end of the season with the schedule the way it was oncoming. And I'm not sure if whether they won that game or not, it really would have made a difference. Um, but some positives in the big picture. The Knicks are, I think, for the first time in a long time, starting to develop some real cognizable young talent. RJ Barrett, really impressive stuff down the stretch. Ended up with 24 points on 16 shots, made a couple big free throws. Um, Missed the 3-pointer at the end there on the penultimate possession. I'm not going to blame him for that. It was a good shot, you know, close miss. Quinn Grimes, the latest first round pick of this regime, literally can't say as much as about him, or you can't say enough about him. 4 for 7 from deep, no hesitation. Probably might be the best defender on the team already as a rookie. I can't believe I'm saying that, but it's true. Or at least best wing defender on the team as a rookie. Really good stuff from him. And then Obi Toppin, who I'm sure is going to be a topic of conversation tonight. Played 15 minutes, 5 of 9 from the field, 3 of 4 from deep. It wasn't perfect. Made some mistakes that young players make, but he's a young player. Young players are going to make those mistakes. You started to see, or you saw more of the signs that he's shown us periodically last year, mostly this year, about why he is someone that is going to, or has so many people so angry that he is not playing more, because he has these games and he has these moments where he just looks like he could be, not the best player on a team or the second best player on a team or even like a major difference maker, but someone who could contribute to winning in a real way. And they're playing hard, and the defense has gotten a lot better. The defense has actually been good since the first 6 games of the season. So, there's positives there. For the long term, there's positives in the short term. I do think the team is still fighting very hard. Obviously, back-to-back, second game of back-to-back on the road against a team that has been, by net rating at least, the best team in the East. Did not have Jared Allen, did not have Lauri Markkanen, although Kevin Love did a pretty nice impersonation. Should the Knicks have won this game? Yeah, probably. Were the Cavs still a better team? Yeah, I would say so. They certainly had 2 of the 3 best players on the floor tonight in Darius Garland and Kevin Love. And that Evan Mobley guy isn't bad. They remind me so much of last year's Knicks. The difference is that they have a 1 and a 2 in Mobley and Garland, who are going to be able to lead them to some really special things in the years to come. The Knicks, maybe they have a 2 in Barrett. Maybe he continues to surprise and become something even more than that. But right now, the Knicks number 1 is just about the most frustrating player on the face of the earth. And he's such a frustrating player, not because he's terrible, not because he can't do it, not even because he won't do it, because he does try to do the right thing occasionally, and fails so often. He's a player that is in his own head, and I'm not putting this whole loss on Julius Randle. It's not all on Julius Randle. Emmanuel Quickley, who I actually thought did some really nice things in the game, and I thought played some really nice defense, was 1 for 10. I don't even the 1 for 10. Fine. The 1 for 6 from 3, fine. You got to shoot your shot. He's a shooter. Shooter's going to shoot. You can't take that 3 there at the end in that situation from 30 feet. Can't do it. Terrible shot. So, and there were other guys. Kemba Walker, I thought was bad. I know he was 4 for 8 points, but again, what's Kemba doing out there? Why are we still running Kemba out there? I know Tibbs kind of has to, because he's here and he's healthy and he came back and he won the Player of the Week. Just get rid of Kemba Walker, please. Just send him to a team where he could fit. He doesn't fit on this team. And I'm not even saying there's a ready-made answer for him. I'm not even saying Emmanuel Quickley as a starter is going to be a lot better, or Burks for that matter. But it's not working. Fournier had a bad game. So all of this stuff factored into the loss. Obviously, the missed free throws factored into the loss. The Knicks ended up missing 10 free throws on the night? Yeah. 10 free throws on the night. And that was a combined effort. RJ, who I just praised, 5 for 10 from the line. So there's a lot that contributed to the loss. But, and anybody who listened to my Sunday show or today's podcast with Jeremy knows what's coming. And I'm not going to blame anyone for being completely negative about this game and completely negative in their takeaways from this game because of Julius Randle. And you saw it down the stretch. A bunch of people have been making light of it on Twitter. You are still and I think this is transitioning into RJ Barrett's team, which is a positive. It's a good thing. I don't know how many games they're going to win, but it's a good thing. But you see it in the big moments. Who do they try to get the ball into? Randle. He's still the decision maker. He's still the guy. They still run everything through him. And just poor decision after poor decision after poor decision, combined with a fair amount of poor execution. I mean, he was 6 of 17 on the game for 18 points. Obviously, he had a negative 22, 4 assists, 4 turnovers. Why are you walking up the ball there? I mean, the funniest moment of the game, honestly, has to be when I think it was Brendan Brown, or it may have been Mike Breen. I forget which one of them pointed out there at the end that Quentin Grimes, who's a rookie, had to tell Julius Randle, you could go in the backcourt to get the ball. Let me say that again. A rookie is reminding a 7-year vet that he could go in the backcourt to get the ball on the inbounds. If that doesn't tell you everything you need to know about Julius Randle and why, if your team is taking its cues from Randle, you're just not going to be a great team unless he did what he did last year, which is hit everything under the sun and shoot 40% from deep and make a billion long twos and the whole thing. Unless he's going to do that, which, again, I think we're starting to figure out that was a bit of a mirage. You're just not going anywhere with your team. And worse than that, you just become a team that, and I know other people in here feel the same way as I do. But I'll say it anyway. It just makes them less fun to watch. Even the good stuff that's going on, and there is good stuff going on, it's just so much more frustrating. I know already. I'm going to get to the super chats. I know already it's all going to be fire Tibbs, and Tibbs is an idiot, and it's all on Tibbs for look. If you think that the best way for Tom Thibodeau to coach this team is to basically say fuck it, Julius Randle's not the answer. I am going to start going away from him more and more and more. If you think that that's the answer, God bless you. It's your right to think so. I mean, I don't know. Maybe people will gone at him on the play call and the last call. That's fine too. I hated it going inbounds to Randle. I wish it would have went somewhere else. It seemed like they were trying to go somewhere else, and Randle was the last option. But that's what you get with without your usual inbounder. But again, if that's going to be your stance, that's fine. I don't blame you for having that stance. I'm done arguing against it at this point. What I will say is this. The Knicks are not winning a blessed thing this year. They were never winning anything this year. If they think they have something in Obi Toppin, and I have no idea if they do. If they think they have something in Obi Toppin, and Obi Toppin is really worth keeping around and fostering and the whole thing, what happens for the rest of the season isn't going to matter in Obi Toppin's development. It's not going to matter one bit. What will matter is if there is someone blocking Obi Toppin's path. And right now, the Knicks are in bed with Randle because they just gave him a 9-figure extension. The notion that the head coach is going to basically start pulling the plug on him, and then we're left with what? We're left with $100 million contract that we need to move. And I'm not, and I just want to be very clear. I'm not saying that Tibbs is giving one flying fuck about the contract situation when he's sitting Obi and playing Randle, because he's not. He's playing the guy that's been his horse because, as I said on today's podcast, he's like, look, the guy's either going to bring me home or he's going to get me fired. And today got him closer to getting fired, although I don't think that's actually going to happen. He's going to rely on the guy that has shown through 7 years of basketball that he could do more stuff than Obi Toppin has shown he could do through a year and a half of basketball. And a lot of people think he's an asshole for making that decision, and other people like me don't think he's an asshole for making that decision. It's your pick. But for anybody again who wants the Knicks and Tom Thibodeau to bury Julius Randle in these games and start to bury him more and more, again, you're doing this to a guy in Randle who is clearly a head case, and clearly above the neck is he's in la la land. He's gone. He's so far into it, he can't find his way back out. I don't know what they're going to do. They're not. I doubt they're going to trade him before the deadline. I doubt there's an opportunity there. But they need to, like, if you're thinking big picture, just make it through this year, and then move the hell on from this guy. You need to move the hell on from him. That's all I'm going to say. I will now take all of the fire Tibbs super chats that inevitably are going to populate the stream tonight. All right. Robin McGinley starts us off. So conflicted as a fan on what we should do. Normally it's obvious. Blow it up. New head coach, stay the course, etc. We have talent, so trying to be patient, but clearly it's not working this season. Yeah, but again, it was never about this season. It's about building piece by piece by piece by piece. They have talent. They just have to keep developing that talent. I do think they do have to keep prioritizing winning. I don't know if like tanking from game 50 is the right way to go. As far as blow it up, new head coach, again, just do your homework. Go look at all the great coaches who have come here, Hall of Fame coaches who have come here, and this team and this organization and everything about the city. Just chews them up and spits them out. I mean, Larry Brown was thought of as the best coach in basketball, and he was literally a laughingstock by the time he left here. Like, so I don't know who you guys want to bring in when you fire Tibbs, but the notion of like bringing this clearly excellent coach, like that hasn't worked before. He's the only guy who's come in here and changed the culture. Van Gundy didn't change the culture. Van Gundy just brought the culture back to what it was established under Pat Riley, who's one of the 2 or 3 greatest coaches who've ever lived. So, just be careful what you wish for would be all that I would advocate for. But again, to each their own. What the fuck do I know? Only been watching this team for 30 frustrating years. Sean Ford, I can't anymore with Randle. Trade him for Harrison Barnes and play Obi and Cam more. He's disgusting to watch. This is RJ's team. Do it, Leon. I'm pretty sure I proposed this trade, or I commented on Twitter several weeks ago that I would do Randle and like I forget who some non-consequential player. Randle for Barnes and Davion Mitchell from the Kings in a heartbeat, and I got raked through the coals because how dare I suggest trading Julius Randle for so little? I mean, Harrison Barnes is a really good player. I would love to have a really good player in place of Julius Randle. I know he's not a star. I'm at the point right now where I would rather just trade him for a guy who's like, what is Harrison Barnes? The 50th best player in the league. Like, give me that guy. At least I know what I'm going to get. It's going to help out. I mean, put the ball in RJ's hands, put the ball in Cam's hands, put the ball in, give Obi more time. All of that stuff. That's all good stuff that probably makes the team a little worse in the interim. But I think would be better for the long term. And you have a great asset in Harrison Barnes, who there's 29 teams in the league who would kill to have Harrison Barnes on their team at his salary. I don't know that there's that many other teams that are dying to get their hands on some Julius Randle. Jeremy E. Randle has to go. That's the only valid takeaway from today's game. That and RJ is special. Just needs to hit the free throws. Yeah, I'm more and more and more. Oh, here we go. Let's get out our friend. I think he deserves a prominent place after this RJ game. I know RJ missed the free throws, but I still feel pretty good about this game from RJ. We'll get our friend the Crow out here. Yeah, RJ, you want to call him special? I'm certainly not going to say no to that. RJ looks more special by the week. I'm not going to say like by the game, by the week, like, because he has the bad game, he has the bad quarter, he has the bad half, but he is just no fear, comes back, keeps it going. I'm starting to run out of good things to say about Barrett. I thought this matchup with Darius Garland, who, if there's a guy that you want to say should have been picked ahead of Barrett in this draft, it's Garland. I thought he played Garland even at worst. Maybe I think he may have gotten even the better of Garland. Now Garland might make an All-Star team this year, but still. Brian Benjamin, great game. I think that was a great effort. Yeah, it was a great effort. It was surely a great effort. I thought they defended their asses off. The defense they played in the fourth quarter, I thought, was some of their most inspired defense of the year. Great defense. I thought the defense for most of the game was really good, other than a couple minutes there in the third quarter when, guess who fell asleep a couple times. And on a couple of those transition opportunities where, again, guess who? And they got beat on a cut earlier in the game with guess who? It's always guess who. Not always guess who, but it's often guess who. And the fact that I don't even need to say who guess who is speaks volumes. Forgotten NYC. This might be the low point of my fandom for Julius Randle. I mean, if you're still a fan of Julius Randle, then it's pretty good. I've honestly just about had enough. How many more 6 for 17 performances until he's gone? I'm going to use this opportunity to just, for anybody left, and I respect anybody left who's like, stop killing Randle. It's too much. It's too harsh. I'm going to give you two sides of a coin. One side is, do I think Julius Randle is like dogging it? No, I don't think he's dogging it. I don't think he's intentionally like being selfish or anything. Do I think he's fully invested in the team as opposed to himself? Not really. But I think he's going out there. He's like mostly trying hard. I just think he's a low IQ player who that's being exposed. And he's a guy that it does not have a great head for the game. And then the other side of the coin, of course, is that he is without question, and there are many stats to back this up, the lowest efficiency player, lowest efficiency, high usage player in basketball this year. Accounting for position, accounting for everything. I checked it on Cleaning the Glass today. Amongst players who have a 28 usage rate or higher, he's in the 12th percentile for points per shot attempt, points per 100 shot attempts. I think the next worst guy is like in the 20-something percentile. He's the worst quote unquote star in the league. It's not even close. Joseph John. Randle is the worst late execution player ever. Yes. A long 2-pointer step back on Wade, then pass the ball to yeah, that was a terrible shot. I forgot about that shot. That was a terrible shot. Then pass the ball to RJ late in the clock. Also bad. Hate Tibbs rotations. I mean, I don't. Other than putting Randle back into the game, I don't know what you really wanted Tibbs. I mean, unless you wanted, did you want Burks at point guard instead of Quickley? I mean, for as terribly as Quickley shot, I thought Quickley was the better of the two players between him and Kemba Walker. On defense, Quickley makes up for what, even if he's having a struggling game on offense. I understand that there were a lot of possessions, and I noted at least 4 of them where Quickley just like, you could tell he's not a point guard. He's not, he just doesn't have it yet. The decision-making isn't there. The ball handling isn't there. The quickness isn't there. Like, all of that stuff is apparent for Quickley. It resulted in some bad shots. It resulted in some bad possessions. All of that stuff. On defense, he's that much better than Kemba is on offense. And I just don't like how the offense flows when Kemba's in there with RJ and Randle. Or even just RJ. And I like how it flows when Quickley's in there. Maybe I'm wrong. But other than that, and I guess, complaining that Randle's in the game, I don't have an issue with Tibbs' rotations today. Maybe I'm missing something, but I thought the rotations were largely fine. Okay, Andrew, you're gonna have to probably back me up because I may be behind, but I will pick up where I have. Kevin Danishevsky. John, let's talk positives. John, I think people are severely underrating Grimes' ceiling. Shout out to you, Kevin. You were on the Grimes bandwagon from day one. I got a little upset with you a few times because you wanted it at the expense of Alec Burks, and Alec Burks is a guy that I obviously really like. But you're right. Grimes deserved to play. Grimes absolutely deserved to play. And he's not going anywhere. I know we haven't talked about the Cam DMP. I'm not surprised by it in the least. I think a lot of people are surprised by it. As I said to anyone who was on the halftime Zoom, this is a long-term thing for the Knicks. The only thing that I would be bummed about is if they went the rest of the year without getting a real look at him. I don't really care if they only get 15, 20, 25 games worth of a look at him. Probably going to be closer to like 10 or 15 if I had to guess. Maybe 20. I guess it depends what they do with the trade deadline. But like as long as they get a look at him before they have to enter into contract negotiations this summer, I'm fine with it. It's again, this team isn't going anywhere anyway this year, and it's not like Cam's going to help them win games. Anyway, I don't know how I got started talking about Cam. Back to Kevin's comment, his floor is so high. In my opinion, no reason he can't be Middleton. I mean, look, Middleton was the best player on the floor in the last 5 minutes of a finals game. I think Grimes could be a starting wing in the NBA, the way he shoots and the way he defends. I want to see a little bit more off the bounce, although he does have some nice passes every now and then. I feel like the realistic ceiling, if you want a real ceiling, I feel like the realistic ceiling is Danny Green. Danny Green's been a guy who's been on the floor for a lot of finals games and looks the part and belongs there. Like, that's your ceiling for Quentin Grimes. If you tell me Quentin Grimes is going to be Danny fucking Green, sign me up for that in a heartbeat, please. I'll take that. That's my Quentin Grimes comp. And what did we always want from Danny Green? We always wanted a little bit more putting the ball on the floor. Roger Fortune. Love what Julius did for us last year, but I wouldn't be upset if we traded him. I think we can get a lot more done either starting RJ or getting a top point guard. Well, they're not going to start RJ at point guard. That's not what you want to do with RJ. I think the play RJ at the point thing is done. What I will say is that trading Julius is a very good idea. I just don't think I'd be surprised if the front office did it. Andrew, can you put Tyler Michaels after Tyler Michaels where I'll put the chat you missed? Oh, okay. Put Andrew, if you could just pin whatever I missed because I'm not understanding what you're talking about here. Jared Macker. Randle's headspace is poison. Yes. Genuinely, thank you, Andrew. Genuinely surprised Tibbs can't seem to get him right mentally. What's the most realistic way to move on from Randle? I mean, the most realistic way to move on from Randle is if Sacramento calls up and says, you know what, fuck it, let's do it, and says we'll give you Fox for Randle. I think the Knicks would have to include a little bit more salary there. Everything coming out of Sacramento is that they want to build around Fox and Halliburton, and they're not trading Fox and blah, 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 blah. I don't know how much I believe any of that, but I do not believe that this front office at this point in time is going to trade Randle unless, and I think I said this probably on the pod, they get a quote-unquote star player, even if it's a flawed star player like Fox, unless they get a star player back in return, or unless they get a package that's just like, just ridiculous. Like again, Sacramento's not going to do this, but like if Sacramento was like, yeah, we'll give you Harrison Barnes and a protected first this year and then a future unprotected first. Like if Sacramento did that, do I think the Knicks would trade him? Yeah, I think the Knicks would trade him, but I think the Knicks are going to hold out hope that maybe he'll turn it around over the course of the rest of this year. And then come the summer when some stars are potentially going to be looking around and starting to knock on doors, that's when you move him. But again, I don't, other than completely frustrating all of us, I'm not sure what the downside is for keeping him for us this year. It's not like he's poisoning the culture or anything. He's just poisoning our souls. This from Hannibal Miles. Quentin Grimes' shot looks a lot like Allen Houston's. That's a fun comp. One of the best Knicks of all time. I personally don't agree with a shortened 9-man rotation is solving inconsistent play. Yeah, Tibbs mentioned maybe getting back to 9 in a recent press conference. I mean, I don't know how he's going to do it. But I could see. I don't know how he's going to do it because for him to do that, it would basically require. Thank you, Andrew. It would basically just require him to play like I guess RJ or Grimes at the 4. Like he needs a backup 4, and if it's not going to be Obi, it's going to be Cam. And if it's going to be one of those two, then you're going to get a 10-man rotation because Burks is going to play for as long as he's here. Grimes is going to play for as long as he's here. And Rose is going to play when he comes back. I guess the only way around that would be is if you started Quickley at no. Yeah, I just don't see a way around it unless they want to make a trade or they want to mothball Grimes. And I don't think they're going to mothball Grimes. I do think they might make a trade. This is from True Story J. Randle and Burks can kick rocks. Randle and Burks? What did Burks do? Was Burks that bad this game? Hold on. You're making me look up his stats. Burks was 0 of 4 from the field and 0 of 2 from deep in 18 minutes. He had no points, 4 assists, 3 rebounds. Did Burks? I'm assuming. You know what? This might be my bad. I'm assuming Burks threw the inbounds to Randle. I'm not gonna get on Alec Burks. If that was the case, then Alec Burks did a bad job by there. Guess what? Alec Burks isn't a point guard. Yeah, it was Alec Burks there. That's my bad. Okay, you want him to go kick rocks? That's fine. I'm still a Alec Burks fan. He's not a point guard. This team doesn't have a great point guard right now. What else here? Julius is rubbing off on Emmanuel Quickley. Julius is not our number 1. The media hyped that up. Well, he was the number 1 last year. That wasn't the media. That was just what happened. In terms of having an effect on Quickley, I think Quickley, that's just who Quickley is. Quickley is like, he's like John Starks. He's going to keep shooting it. Maybe to his detriment. Danny Gardner. What's going on, Danny? It's not the worst thing if they get a lottery pick and go from there with how much RJ has developed. His growth has made the future outlook brighter. Yeah, I agree with that. I mean, the worst thing that could happen this year, in my 2 cents, is if they're they're like the 11th seed in the East, and then they get the 10th pick in the draft. Like, that would suck. Like, I would, I'm not saying like the 8th or the 9th or even like the 7th would make a lot of difference. I think this is going to wind up shaping up to be like a 5-player draft. There's 3 big guys at the top. There's the kid from Purdue. There's the kid that just switched classes, who I think is now number 5 or 6 on most boards. But like, if you're not going to make the play-in, and here's the thing, I think if they make the play-in, I think we're going to be all really excited because they will have been really impressive. Because there's no way they're making the play-in without being really impressive down the stretch of this season. Hush Zoo, I have a couple comments here from you. I have the super chat that I'm looking at, and I have your pinned comment. I'll get to them both right now. Okay, so 90th percentile in deflections and passing lane, and 47% in corner 3. Can't crack minutes in this sorry-ass offense. Tibbs is so funny. Bright side, RJ finishing on Mobley is super encouraging. I think it's more about that he just got here. And I don't think Tibbs trusts him in the defensive scheme because he just spent the entire season playing for what for most of this year has been a bottom 3 or 4 defense. And Cam has not a lot to do with that, but Cam has something to do with that. He's been pretty bad off ball, which, like, if you're going to play in a Tibbs defense, can't be bad off ball, which is why we're also frustrated at Julius Randle. But again, who do you want? I mean, I'm genuinely asking, who do you want out of the rotation? I mean, do you want him to sit Alec Burks? Do you want him to sit Obi? Do you want him to sit? Like, I don't like. the notion that they're not going to sit Randle. Like, you want to sit Kemba? The reason, I mean, I would advocate for that, except for the fact that I still think they're figuring they maybe get a trade. But we'll see. And Hush Zoo's other comment: how mad do you think Knicks fans would be in the front office if the front office just stay put at the trade deadline and let this offense rotation play through the season? I'd be pretty pissed. I mean, you never know what's out there for defense, but just like, I just don't see how. I don't see how that works, because then are you? Again, I guess you're doing something that someone's not going to like. And I'm not, and nobody, like, people are going to be, yeah, I'd be pretty mad. This one from Kevin Danishevsky: I think they should probably go ahead and trade Burks. This is going to be a popular comment over the next couple of weeks. I think he's tired and he's been asked to do too much. He got cooked by Stevens. Yeah, he's been, again, I love Burks, but he hasn't been great lately. Also blocking some guys in the rotation. He'd be great on a contender. Yeah, I mean, that's one of those things about the front office kind of taking the decision out of Tibbs' hands. I wouldn't hate it. I feel bad saying that. Burks has been so good. He's been a really good Knick. Really like him. I think if you can get, I don't know what the trade is. I don't know if there definitely is a trade. I would really hate to see him go for like a high second round pick or something like not great. But if you could get a real thing for Burks, I would do it. Blood of the Panda. What's going on, Blood of the Panda? I have a feeling I know where this is going. Trade Julius Fournier Burks and a pick for Anthony Simons and CJ McCollum. Again, I would walk all those players there on my shoulders. I don't even care what the pick is. Actually, I shouldn't say that. I'm not sure I'm giving up like a future unprotected pick in that trade. I'll give up like the Dallas pick happily. I'd walk them all there if that's what it took. Simons is really good. This from Jaden Sporer: Quickley would be a really great player if field goal percentage wasn't a stat. It's funny you bring that up. His effective field goal percentage this year, I don't know if this is going to be true after this game, but before this game, going into this game, his effective field goal percentage this year was higher than it was last year. And nobody seemed to mind his shooting last year. I think he's better in some areas. He's worse in others. His spot-up three-point shooting hasn't been good. I trust that it's going to come around. I trust he'll be really good. I am not out even a little bit on Immanuel Quickley. Very high in Immanuel Quickley. If I'll quote the internet. If anybody's selling their Quickley stock, I'll happily buy that up. Haitian Ferg: front office has the answers to our concerns. I hope so, man. Tibbs is the right coach. Amen to that, man. And I trust Leon to make the right moves to free up the young talent we have. They have to move Kemba, Randle, and Fournier. I think the first priority is to move Kemba, just because the PR situation is going to be a nightmare, and like they should just move him. I mean, quite frankly, I kind of wouldn't mind seeing Fournier on this team if Randle wasn't on it. Yeah, I'd love if they move Randle. I just don't think it's going to be a realistic thing to expect. Thank you, by the way, Haitian for the contribution. You're always very generous in here. I appreciate it. And you're one of the people who doesn't think I am a crazy person, which is much appreciated. What a tweet from Mark Berman. RJ Barrett misses big shot late, but Julius Randle's erratic night dooms Knicks in close loss. Yes, because they would have been in that game without RJ Barrett. I love you, Mark. This from Tyler Michaels. Hey, Tyler. 10 missed free throws, hard to overcome as an underdog on the road. And Mitch didn't even play. Positive note: if Obi can shoot it from three, he's going to be a player. Yeah, I mean, I feel like it's not that complicated with Obi. If he becomes a 35, 36% 3-point shooter, it completely changes everything about his game. Because, like, we know he could do stuff on the offensive end. I love the couple of moves where he put the ball on the floor tonight. Like, he doesn't do it that often. I'd love to see him do it more often. I don't know why he doesn't do it more often. I'm starting to see more and more and more. Like, they try to run high pick and rolls for him. I just don't think Obi's very good at it. I shouldn't say that. I don't think that he knows how to, like, set a hard screen and, like, commit to it and then roll, because he just doesn't do it. I don't, or is that a play call thing? I genuinely don't know. But he needs to become a little bit better. But yes, shout out to Obi. Kevin Danishevsky. I agree with your patience in theory, but in practice, it's annoying that they'll finally be ready to win when U.S. democracy ends in 2024 and I move. Yeah, amen to that, brother. Look, I want the front office to be patient, but patience for a purpose, and not patience because we're afraid to make a move. I said it on the pod. I'm sorry for repeating myself. I would feel so much more comfortable if I knew that the front office was as out on Julius Randle as we all were. If I knew that, I wouldn't, like, the rest of the season for me would be like house money. I wouldn't even care what happens for the rest of the season. If I knew for a fact that the front office was, like, out on Julius, oh my God, I would be happy as a pig in shit. This from Anthony Sixto. Confused why we still have Burks on the inbounds. Because they don't have anyone better. I don't think because Kemba's so small. I think that makes it tougher. That's why Kemba's not a great inbounder. And after Kemba, like, who's the next best passer on the team? That's the best reason I come up with. I'm not saying it's a great option. I just, he's been so spotty inbounding, and you want his shot in play. Felt like the coaches got to have plays ready for those last 3 possessions. Yeah, if you want to kill the coaches for that, Tibbs, anybody, yeah. But again, that's, Tibbs, it's read and react. It's read and react. They didn't call the timeout. Well, excuse me, they did. Yes, they did call the timeout for the last possession. But yeah, Randle walking the ball up there for that last. It's so maddening. It's so fucking maddening. Hush Zoo is taking back his Randle apology till further notice. Well done, sir. Slacker Hero. Very little excuses left not to start Emmanuel Quickley anymore. Well, 1 for 10 is an excuse. Again, I don't think Tibbs thinks he's 100% ready, but at the same time, you look at the stats tonight, and Quickley played, I want to say 20, if I'm going to guess he played 28 minutes, 26 minutes to Walker's 20. So, I don't know. This seems to be like some of the stuff that was happening early in the season, which was a precursor to Walker getting benched. Will Walker get benched again? Will they? I don't know. From Danny Gardner. What's going on, Danny? RJ and Grimes brought them back, and every one of the last 5 possessions went through Randle and IQ. Yeah, very true. Bad situational awareness from Randle and Tibbs. I wish I knew who to blame more. If that was on Tibbs, give all the blame to Tibbs. But at the same time, I just wonder. I just would love to be a fly on the wall, and I wonder, and again, because I've never done it, I wonder how easy it is to, like, have the sit, because that conversation doesn't happen like during a game. That conversation happens like, in a closed door, in an office behind a closed door, about, like, hey, this isn't your show anymore. Like, I don't even know how that conversation goes. I don't know. And I also don't know, for as much as I defend Tibbs, if there's one thing that's become clear throughout the course of his career, it's that he's probably not a very good coach at having those sorts of conversations. That's his weak spot. So again, if you want to bring it back to enabling Randle, if you want to bring it back to not knowing how to get through to Randle, if you want to bring it back to not knowing how to tell Randle this isn't your fucking team anymore, we need to turn this thing over, and you want to put all that on Tibbs, you put all that on Tibbs, and I'm right here with you. Again, I would just caution, A, you need someone to do it better, and B, the reason you're blaming Tibbs is because of issues that are stemming from this player, and like, in theory, it shouldn't be a coach's job responsibility to have to make a guy realize that, listen, dude, you suck right now. For the betterment of the team, you need to do X, Y, and Z. But then again, who knows? Maybe Tibbs is the one who keeps telling him, like, you got this, you got this, you got this. You're gonna find it. You're gonna find it. You're gonna find it. But even then, if he did do that, maybe he thinks that that's the best chance to bring him back. I don't know. I'm out of answers. Okay. Hang on one sec. Get back to any of the super chats in here. Thank you guys, everybody who's in here. This has been an awesome response after an absolutely heartbreaking loss. Andrew, let me know if I missed any more. Picking it up with the man, Robert Cross. First time, long time, John. Not upset tonight because RJ's ceiling, Crow, here we go, is the rafters of the Mecca. Giddy up. I'm afraid 53 wins is now in jeopardy, though. Hashtag 53 wins. Never change, Robert. I love you. Asfand Yar Janjua. People need to realize you could disagree with Tibbs, but you don't become a two-time coach of the year by luck. The man is a winner. I mean, he is a winner. I mean, again, like, I don't know. I'm a broken record at this point, but like, this is a team who has had an absolute atrocity of a season from their supposed best player. They've had the season that maybe, like, if you put all the really good and all the really bad together, probably the season we expected from RJ Barrett, more or less. And then a below average season from Evan Fournier and a below average to bad season from Kemba Walker. And then Derrick Rose has missed however many games he's missed now, 15 or whatever games. Like, those are your five best players. And the team is 2 games under 500. Again, like, everything needs to be put into context. They're not let go of the rope. They're still trying their asses off. They've been, again, the third best defense in the league for the last 16 games now. Probably a little bit more than that. Like, there's good stuff happening here. I understand what people are upset about, and I understand why they're upset. But you do have to keep everything in context. JD, do the Knicks win more than 32 games this year? Get the likes up. I appreciate that, JD. Thank you. Do they win more than 32 games this year? So that would mean they would go 32-50, which would mean that they would go 9-25 over the rest of the season. Yes, I think they will go better than 9-25. I think I would probably put the floor at this point at like 37-45. 37-45 would be 14-20. That would probably be my floor at this point. Who knows? Maybe they come back and they win 45 games. Maybe they come back and they win 32. I have no idea. You could tell me anything. It wouldn't shock me. Be ready today. Let Randle play out the season. We're judging against 5 real games. I don't really know what we're judging against 5 real games means. I mean, I think they will let him play out the season. We'll see. Bradley Rothman. To me, Grimes could be the Knicks version of Des Bane. We love us some Des Bane here at the Knicks Film School Podcast. Do you think the Knicks see Reddish as a future 4? I'm struggling with them giving up a first with RJ and Grimes as my future 2-3, in my mind, if not. I think the trading of the asset for them was more about a value play of they never, as Jeremy has talked about ad nauseum, they never wanted this pick to convert this year. They have no interest in having the 19th or 20th pick in this draft. They don't want it. That's not where they're at right now. They wanted this pick to convey later on for a trade package that has yet to be um, consummated or even probably thought of yet. So I'm not as worried about that. And I think they felt like this was the best value for that thing that they didn't really want anyway. And I think they like Cam Reddish. Does that mean they plan on Cam? Like they know what Cam's going to be? Do they think he's going to be a star? Do they think he's going to be a starter? I have no idea, but I think they like Cam as a player, and I feel like he's worth looking into more. I think more importantly, and again, hat tip to Jeremy for being all over this when we first recorded after that trade. This is just about getting your asset base up. Have Cam come here, figure him out a little bit, make him look pretty good, sign him to a contract that pays him about $18 million a year. Hope he gets even better. Boom, there's a piece of your trade package moving forward for whoever else you want, or he becomes part of your core here. We'll see. But to answer your question, I think they see him probably as a guy who swings maybe between the 3 and the 4. Perfect world, yeah, he's a perfect NBA 4. I don't know if he's going to be ever going to be that kind of a rebounder though. We'll see. It's not crazy though. Drew P. Not Tibbs' best night, but I want to see what he could do with RJ Grimes, Cam, and Mitch, etc. going forward. Tibbs is the coach for RJ. RJ is the future. I think Tibbs and RJ get along really well. I think that's well said that Tibbs is the coach for RJ. RJ, by the way, after this game, after he shot 5 for 10 from the free throw line, he said, "That's 10 points," he tells reporters. "We lose by 2. I can't be out there letting the team down, missing that many free throws. I'm going to fix that." I also appreciated another thing that RJ said. They played the clip during the game. This is from, I think, practice availability when they were asking him about being more aggressive and like, can he be a number 1 option? And I thought he was really forthright in that he was like, first and foremost, I think it helps the team, but I want it for me too. Like, I actually I think that's honorable to come out and be like, yeah, I want to be great because I want to be great. In addition to, I want it to help the team. Like, to me, that's honesty and that's a good thing. Also, not surprising, this is a guy who told a newspaper reporter that he thinks he's a special player or he's destined to be special, whatever it is. Look, I'm here for all of it. I'm done doubting RJ. That shit's in the past. We have another comment in the chat that Andrew, let me know who this is from. I'll shout you out in a second. Randle needs to be moved either before the deadline or in the offseason. You can tell that the RJ praise gets to Julius. Body language is everything, especially when you hoop. Mello from Toronto. What's going on, Mello? Julius does not seem to me to be a player who is fully engaged. That much is obvious to anybody with eyes. What's less obvious to me is why. Is it because he's jealous of RJ? Is it because he's pissed off he's not playing well? Is it because he's pissed off that he feels like all of his problems stem from the Knicks bringing in these different guys and asking him to play differently? Whatever it is, he's in a terrible place. I don't think it gets better. Yes, trade him. This from Sean Hardy. Our all-NBA player being guarded by Dean Wade on a clear out on the left side, and he's a lefty, and he gives it up. I'm tired of looking at him. I don't know of anybody who isn't tired of looking at him at this point, Sean. I'm sorry. I'm sorry you have to look at Julius Randle. Which, again, I respect anybody who blames Tibbs because Tibbs makes the decisions and he's playing the guy. And if it's like, I understand not everybody thinks through this and tries to rationalize it and make excuses like I do, which is essentially what I'm doing. I'm making excuses because I like Tibbs and I believe in Tibbs. But it's excuses. He's playing a guy. He's playing a guy a ton of minutes. You know, and the guy sucks. Right now, at least he does. Kevin Danishevsky, love to John, but how can you love the Houston comp and roll your eyes at Middleton when Houston was the second best guy in a finals team? Grimes D is better than Houston's D. I don't think that. I should say I loved the comp because I love Allen Houston. I don't think that Quentin Grimes is going to be Allen Houston. Allen Houston was a 2-time All-Star who was, again, the best or second best player on a finals team, one of the 10 to 12 best Knicks ever. I don't think he's going to be that. I did enjoy the comp, though. That's an interesting historical question. Who's better, Chris Middleton or Allen Houston? That's tight. That's close. That's close. I don't know. Middleton's going to wind up with a better career if he stays healthy. But at his peak, I think Houston might have been a better player. From Lunas Emirat. Timeout calling Randle the new Eddie Curry. It's getting ugly out there. On the bright side, super excited about Grimes, and RJ is still special. 23, 6, and 4 next year. How you doing? I retweeted the stat today from Fred Katz, who put up RJ stats over the last dozen games. 23, 24 points, whatever it is, 25, something like that. 6 boards, 3 assists, 40% from deep. Only guy in the league doing that over the last 12 games. Really good stuff. The timeline is calling. I don't know what that's supposed to mean. Hold on, what else we got here? Take it slow, bro. Good name. Randle, Kemba, and 2 first-round picks for Simmons, and then Noel and a first-round pick for Bamba. I'm not giving up a first-round pick for the right to pay Mo Bamba in restricted free agency this year. I know he's been hitting a lot of threes. I know he's looked good of late. He's had some nice games. He put up 32 the other night. I get all that. I'm not giving up a first-round pick to sign Mo Bamba right now. I don't think you need to. I think you could probably get him for a nice second, but that's if Orlando even wants to give him up. Randle, Kemba, and 2 first-round picks for Ben Simmons. Oh boy, why are you putting me on the spot like this? It depends. I have to know about the picks. Am I sending? Oh, I see. Okay, I'll get back to that. Am I spending like 2 future unprotected first-round picks here? If so, I mean, I've kind of been a Simmons defender, and I'm not sure I can do that as much as I do want to get rid of Randle. I don't even know if Philly does that at this point. Maybe they do. I'm not sure though. Especially with the news that they're willing to take this into the summer coming out recently. I see. I read the last comment wrong. The timeline is calling Randle the new Eddie Curry. Got it. Perfect. Yeah, that's probably a bit much. Although, like Julius Randle, Eddie Curry did have a moment in the sun that people forget about. He was really good for like most of a season, and then it all went to shit. Not sure we're there yet. We're getting close though. This from Asfand Jar Janjua. I think trading Randle will be like the Blake trade. I mean, that's the one again. Inception. Jeremy Cohen accepted it into my mind. I think it's been a month and a half or 2 months ago now when he mentioned the Blake trade. Yes, and the trade there is Harrison Barnes. That would be the target. It would be Harrison Barnes and a thing and a something coming back. But Blake didn't play as poorly as Randle has played at the beginning of that year. So, Blake was also like a legit superstar. Randle is not. Manny Campos, what's going on, Manny? Since January 1st, RJ is 23 points, 6.7 rebounds, 3.5 assists on 44% overall, 43.5% from deep, and a slightly unsightly 69% from the free throw line. We keep saying, let's wait to see what Julius looks like with a number one. We have a number one, and Julius still sucks. Okay. Again, we have to put everything into context. With these stats, if these stats were over the course of a full year and RJ played with that level of efficiency, 44% overall and 43% from deep, with as much with the limited off the dribble creation on the perimeter, would he be a number one? Yes. Is your team going to be a great team with him as your number one? No. Would it be a good team with him as your number one? Probably not. Would it be an okay team? Yes. Yeah, it would be an okay team, I think. I don't think it would be a bad team, depending on who you put around him. Still want to see a little bit more consistency. Again, we are talking about this young man who some people wanted to trade out. Not me. Some people wanted to trade out of here for very little in the midst of a hellacious shooting slump not too long ago. We're talking about him being a number one option on an NBA team. That's really freaking hard to do. I'm not saying he can't do it. I'm not saying the numbers that you just put up aren't the numbers of a number one. They are. See a little bit more consistency. As far as the Julius point, again, you need to embrace being a number two. He's not embracing being a number two. He still thinks of it as his team, and he still has too many possessions that are shitty possessions that go through him. It's horrible. Get a real number two, This from Tyler Michaels. You make a fair point about Randle. He's still only 27, and he can bounce back. I'd keep him and continue roster building. I think we're overreacting right now. I mean, yeah, we're fans. It's what we do. We overreact. That said, I am out on Randle. I'm out on Randle. If he does bounce back and he starts playing better, I'll still want him gone because I don't believe, A, he's ever going to accept that this is anything other than his team, and B, I don't think you're ever going to be able to trust him like above the neck. That's the problem. I don't trust him at all. I think he's a fragile player. I think he's fragile mentally. I think he's fragile emotionally. I think everything about the last several weeks has gotten me absolutely petrified about what happens moving forward with him the longer he's on this team. Tim Wetmore proposes Randle for Frank Ntilikina. I'm here for it, please, any day of the week. And twice on Sunday, I'd be happy to do that. Yes. Okay. Lunas Emirat. What's your ranking of the top 5 player ceilings on the team? Okay. I'm assuming you mean young players, so I don't even know how to answer this question with like putting Randle in it. So I'm just going to take Randle out of the question. I'm going to go RJ1. Player ceilings. Thinking about 3 guys oh my God, I didn't even think about Obi. RJ1. Grimes 2. Love me some Quickley. RJ1, Grimes 2. Mitch. Oh, I forgot about Cam. Shit. RJ1, Cam 2, Grimes 3. Obi 4. Am I really going to leave Mitch off this list? Oh my God. Quickley 5. That was painful. Great question. Duran visual variant. Would you take Mark Jackson or Calipari over Tibbs? Hell no to Mark Jackson. My least favorite NBA person associated with the league. Calipari, I think that would be a disaster. I don't think Calipari has any like Tibbs works 25 hours a day. He's married to this job. Calipari likes showing up and getting all the glory and working like 3 hours a day. And then glad handing and recruiting. Those would I'm not even sure which of those choices would be worse. Infamous New King. Blake's commercials were actually entertainment. Randle commercials are meh. Yeah, I don't like the Randle commercials either. Brian Benjamin. We felt the same about Randle his first year, and he made up for it in his second. I think he can rebound next year with more chemistry with the team. Again, if it was just about his play, I would agree with you. But and by the way, a lot of the stuff we're complaining about now that falls under like the leadership umbrella, we saw a lot of that stuff his first year here. And I think all of the people who, even after last season, were still very trepidatious about hitching our wagon to the Julius Randle horse, did so not necessarily because they didn't believe in him as the basketball player. I think they did so in part because they didn't believe in him as the leader. And that is certainly, making itself apparent. So that's why I think I would move on. I also just like, again, if we're all in agreement that he's not a number one and he needs to be number two, I just don't love him as a number two. Because if you're a number two, you have to offer a real. Well, no, you don't. You have two on-ball guys on a great team. I don't know. I just don't love the thought of him as a number two. I like the thought of him as like a six man. I think that's what I don't know when it's going to happen. Is he going to be 30, 31, 32? I think that's his destiny on a really good team. If he's ever on one, it is a six man. We'll see. Bradley Rothman, what's going on, Bradley? Randle was slow with his decision making at the end of the game because he wanted to drive, but he did not want to shoot foul shots if he was fouled. Maybe. It's as good a theory as any. And that's, again, I was going to say that's the most frustrating thing about Randle. There's like 18 different most frustrating things about Randle. Like, he got downhill a couple times. I know one of them he missed, but he got downhill last game. He got downhill today, and it's like, you can't stop that guy when he gets going downhill. Why don't you do that all the time? You know who does that all the time? Zion Williamson. I'm not saying Julius is Zion, but like, in terms of guys who are big and strong and physical and who could put the ball on the floor, other than Zion, other than LeBron James, I'm not really sure who else is in the conversation. Again, strictly talking about big dudes who you can't really body when they get on the move and who have a little bit of a handle, enough of a handle to like take your typical four off the dribble. Like, so why doesn't he do that all the time? It's so frustrating. Akiva Friedman, is Randle this season worse than his first year in New York? Yes. We could go through some numbers really quick. And I think this will probably end up here. Julius Randle stats, of course, comes up. Hold on one second. I want to make sure I didn't miss anything. I'll end with this. Parrish Duggar, what's going on, man? This is one of those fire Tibbs super chats, John. I respect it. Shout out to you, Parrish. And then Kevin Danishevsky, if Tibbs ever goes, thoughts on Payne or Bryant? I mean, it's going to be Bryant. Like, my impression, I'll say, is that that's already the plan. Is that whenever Tibbs goes, I don't know when that's going to be. It's not going to be this season, or I doubt it's going to be next season. But whenever Tibbs goes, it's Bryant's job. I think that's how they got him in the first place. I think that's how they got him to turn down whatever I forgot the job that went after him. I think it was in the offseason. I think they have him. I think they promised him, the coach. Get the likes up. Anybody who's been enjoying themselves or just hates everything I say, make sure you hit the like button. We appreciate it. So Julius Randle this year versus his first year with the team. I'll go efficiency 492 his first year here, 49.2% effective field goal percentage, 46.6 effective field goal percentage this year. He's bad across the board. His 2-point percentage has gone down 50 points, 50 points. He was a 51.5% 2-point shooter his first year here. He is 46.5% now. That went down actually probably tonight. He's taking a lot more long twos than he was his first year. He shot a lot around the rim that first year. It was ugly, but it was more efficient than this. His 3-point percentage is actually a little higher, 31% to just under 28%. And then in terms of per 36-minute stats, not that different. But I'll read them off anyway. Actually, they are kind of different. 31.6 points per 36 minutes his first year here, 19.1 this year. His turnovers have gone up a little bit per 36. His assists are way up from 3.4 to 5.2. That's really where the biggest difference is. But again, what's the value of the assists if he's monopolizing the offense so often to the detriment of the team? And that's where we're starting to get to. So, I think that's a good way to close this out. I'll check to see if there's anything else in the super chat that I missed. Doesn't look like it. Thank you to everybody who came, contributed, did the whole thing. We appreciate it. Really brutal loss. These things help me get over these losses a lot, so I kind of need to do them. So thanks for being here for them. And I'll see you in a couple days after the Miami game. And on that note, we'll see you later. Peace out.